The morning hours in New York always started quickly. Taxi horns, the sounds of street vendors, and hurried steps surrounded the city like a backdrop. That morning, Donald Trump had not used his private vehicle for an official appointment, but wanted to walk a few blocks among the crowd. His suit was carefully ironed, but his tie was slightly loose. He did not wear glasses. He had also instructed his security team to follow from behind. That day, he wanted to look like an ordinary person. But unlike his usual walks, this time he lost his route. While looking for a building number on 6th Avenue, he suddenly noticed that the direction of the signs on the street he turned had changed. He took a few more steps, then he stopped. He took his phone out of his pocket. The map application was locked. Moreover, even the GPS was not showing the correct location. At that very moment, a man in a brown coat holding a coffee cup in his hand caught his attention on the edge of the sidewalk. The man looked like a mechanic or a day laborer. He was watching the surroundings and looking at his phone. Trump paused for a few seconds. Then he approached. "Hi," he said. "Excuse me, I'm looking for Union Hall. It should be around here, but I'm a little lost." The man looked up. His gaze locked on Trump. There was no recognition in his eyes. There was just the casual attentiveness of someone who wanted to help. "Oh, Union Hall. You have to go 2 blocks from here, then turn right. Old red brick building with the big staircase." Trump thanked him. The man smiled. "Everyone gets confused in the morning anyway. The signs around here are so confusing." Trump paused for a moment. "It's a beautiful city, but sometimes it's complicated. People forget more than they want to remember." The man laughed. "That's how New York is. But here's the good thing. Everyone finds their way." Dear viewers, sometimes asking for directions isn't just about finding directions. Sometimes real connections start with a "which street was it?" question. Have you ever felt genuine when you talk to someone you don't know? Write in the comments and subscribe. Because this channel doesn't just tell where we are, it tells who we are. After thanking him, Trump seemed to turn back, but then he asked something. "Do you live here?" The man nodded. "I've been in this neighborhood for 20 years. When I arrived, I only had $50 in my pocket. I still have a little money now, but at least I can give you directions." Trump smiled. "Maybe that's what real wealth is." The man took a sip of his coffee. "It's not so much knowing the way, but being able to help someone who's lost." At that moment, it didn't matter who either man was. One was looking for his way, the other knew the way, and this equation was the most equal in history. Trump kept walking, but he stopped after a few steps. He turned back. "You helped me without thinking. I didn't ask you my name, but I guess you didn't know me." The man bowed his head. "No, I don't remember many faces, but I thought you were a friendly person." Trump pulled out a business card, but it said only this: "Thank you. If we ever meet again, I'll buy the coffee." The man took the card. He looked at the writing. "What do you do?" Trump bowed his head slightly. "It's a long story, but today I'm just a hiker." The man was still holding his business card. It was a plain cream-colored card with slightly softened corners. It had no fancy logos or gold lettering. Just one sentence written in black ink. "Thank you. If we ever meet again, I'll buy the coffee." At first, he thought of this note as the politeness of a stylish gentleman. But a few minutes later, he noticed a news notification on his phone. The notification read, "Trump was seen in a private meeting at Union Hall this morning." The man paused for a moment. He looked at his hand. He looked at the card again. And something vibrated in his heart. "No way," he said softly. Then he did an image search on his phone, and the first photo he came across was the very man he had just spoken to. He quickly took another sip of his coffee, but this time his throat was tight. He mumbled to himself, "Did I just give directions to Donald Trump?" On the one hand, he felt astonishment. On the other hand, a strange pride, because he had not done the help consciously, but as a completely natural reflex. He thought about that moment. There was no arrogance on Trump's face. There was only a simple question of a man who had lost his direction. And just like he had done for years, he had shown someone the way. But this time, the person who found the way was a figure right in the middle of the world stage. Dear viewers, sometimes you don't realize who you are giving the help to, but the real value is hidden in the hand you extend without looking at who you are when you help. Have you ever felt a slight vibration in your heart after helping someone and finding out who they are? Write in the comments and subscribe, because this channel doesn't just care about who you are, it cares about how you act. The man didn't tell anyone about this incident for a few days. He just put the card in his wallet. But the image of that morning never left his mind. That sidewalk he walked on every day, it had taken on a different meaning now. 3 days later, early in the morning, he encountered a delivery man at the reception of the building where he worked. The officer was carrying a plain box. Only his name and address were written on it. The officer handed him the box. "They asked me to bring this to you specifically. Is your name correct?" The man nodded. When he opened the box, he didn't know what to say when he saw what was inside. A brown, custom-made coffee mug. It read, "To show the way gives a direction, but to be human changes direction. Thank you, DT." There was a short note at the bottom of the box. "Drink your daily coffee in this mug, because that morning I was not just looking for an address, I was looking for a description of a character, and you silently showed." The man gripped the mug in his hands. It might not have been warm, but a warmth rose from inside him. One day, a direction he had given on a city corner, it had now become a line in his life. The next day, he took the cup to his office. He placed it on the top corner of his desk. He couldn't bear to use it. But he glanced at it every morning, because that cup wasn't just a gesture, that cup was a sign of his prestige. Trump turned to his security team after his meeting at Union Hall that day and said only this: "A man showed me the way on the street today, but actually, at that moment I remembered not who I was, but what I was like. So, let's send him a little thank you, but without exaggeration, because great people do the smallest things quietly." A week had passed. The city was once again spinning in its own hustle and bustle, people flowing down the sidewalk every morning. But for that man, the days were a little different now. Every morning before going to work, he would pick up that brown mug Trump had sent him, hold it in his hand for a few seconds, and then carefully put it back on the shelf. For him, mornings were no longer just about waking up. Mornings were about remembering. For whom? For himself. Because that morning's simple conversation had fallen into his life like an invisible light. He hadn't written this story in any newspaper. He hadn't shared it on social media either, but he had told it to those around him. And as he told it, the following sentence from people had become more and more repeated. "I also showed someone the way one day," and then everyone would fall silent, smiling slightly. Because sometimes great stories echo in the simplest sentences. That morning, as he was leaving his building to go to work, an SUV pulled up from the opposite sidewalk. The windows were darkened, but the license plate was familiar. The person who got out of the vehicle was not noticed in the crowd, but the man recognized him. Trump slowly approached him. His eyes were as calm as the day they first met. "You showed me the way. Today I wanted to walk again, but this time I didn't bring my way. I brought my thanks." The man bowed his head slightly. "You didn't have to do this." Trump extended his hand. "I don't have to extend my hand. But sometimes in this world, the ones who volunteer are the ones who are remembered the most." They walked side by side for a while. They didn't talk about the past to each other amidst the noise of the city, nor about the future. They just looked at the people on the side of the road. Trump stopped at one point. "Look at that corner, where you first stopped me. I lost my way then, but now I am grateful for that lostness, because sometimes you can't find it without getting lost." Dear viewers, sometimes a stranger you meet reminds you not how lost you are, but how right you are at the right moment. Have you ever had a moment where you recognized yourself before someone recognized you? Write in the comments and subscribe. Because this channel is not just about roads, it is about journeys. Trump pulled out a small envelope from his inside pocket. The man reached out hesitantly. Inside the envelope was a small brooch. It read, Silent Helpers Society, Badge of Honor. Trump asked him to look inside the envelope before he made his statement. There was a letter. It read, Those who receive this badge may not be visible to the public, but they always find their place on the map of humanity. The path you showed me that morning led to more than just the building. It's a good thing we met. Donald J. Trump. The man bowed his head. He could not find the words. He could only say, thank you. But even his voice was trembling. Trump nodded slightly. Then he put his hand on his back. People ask me things every day, but you showed me the way without asking anything, and that is more valuable than anything. Then Trump walked away. His guards turned toward him, but he turned and looked at the man one last time. If I ever get lost again, I hope you're there again. The man took the badge home that day. He bought a small frame. He put the mug next to it. He hung it on his wall. He wrote a note next to it. Sometimes giving directions is reminding a person of themselves. Months later, an intern came to the office where he worked. He was a young man. He had no confidence in himself. He got lost a lot. One day he brought him coffee, and the intern asked in surprise, This mug is beautiful. Where did you get it? The man looked at the mug. He smiled. Let me tell you a story. And so, directions given to a stranger, it left not just a direction, but a trail, because sometimes the quietest steps leave the longest echo.